Wonderful. So we have made it. It is Picnic on Plateau, the show that has randomly gotten its name sorted out of nowhere. It's going to be the timer set. We exactly got 1 hour from now, and the man to my other side has to introduce himself by telling his name, his age, his position in what he does, and where he's from.
Oh, that's so many informations. Okay, let's start with the name. My name is Alen. I'm originally from Croatia, and I do at the moment live in Croatia as well, but I'm traveling a lot as I am kind of working in Crazy as an esports director, basically head of esports. So everything esports related is something that needs to go through me, through my approval or whatever. I do a lot of plannings when it comes to esport, and obviously like signing the contracts, negotiating whatever we need to negotiate, and usually following teams on competitions as well, which is obviously kind of ideal life to have, just traveling basically each and every single month, maybe even 2, maybe even 3 times per month.
Right.
But there's a downside of you only see hotels, arenas, and
there
airports.
We go.
That's basically it.
This is the first minute already
This
in.
is so sad.
One thing before we really get into it, you have the opportunity, and this is the magic thing about this, you have 2 1-minute timeouts, which means every question that's going to be, or every topic we're talking about, you have the opportunity to be muted for exactly 1 minute, for only 1 minute. I will look at the time then, and to answer it privately or whatever, whilst we talk about it. So nobody else outside of us can hear it then. That's the magic
One
trick.
question though.
Yeah.
What about the people that are actually able to read from the lips?
Then
like lip
that's your
readers?
thing. You have to mess up your lips. That's not my thing.
Okay,
you
like
know?
do something like this or something. Yeah.
Yeah, you have to overdo it. You have to hide your, maybe put something in front of your in front of your mouth at the meantime.
Like this, and that's it.
Yeah, right. That's down to you. That's not down to me. The first thing we really need to talk about, because I directly want to dive in. I mean, your org has.
I'm sorry, Vincent. I messed up the focus. Yeah, it's
That's
fine.
fine. Don't worry.
Never doing that again.
The thing is, the thing we need to start with, your org is called Crazy for a reason, because I know your CEO, and I think I met him the first time in a lounge in an arena in Helsinki with some investor, and he was talking about the poach situation from G2.
Actually, have you been involved into the whole start of the launch of UML League? Maybe you met him there as well, because he was there.
Yeah,
actually.
I know he always asked so many questions. I remember he asked a lot of questions back then, right? That was good.
He wants to know everything, basically.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, do continue with the question.
It was very fun. We have to actually talk about that first of all, because it has never been cleared up. It has legitimately never been cleared up. I mean, obviously hntr and nexa are at G2. But what happened in the meantime? I mean, there was this poach thing talked about, and he made this tweet where you can't just take our players. And I think 3 or 4 weeks later, they left. So what happened?
Yeah, the whole situation, and this is actually a time where I can reveal some of the things. Obviously, some of the things need to, based on the contracts and everything else, need to remain as is. G2 actually approached nexa and hntr, obviously, something that is usually done in esports in general, especially in CSGO, maybe not that much in other games. Obviously, like, let's be completely 100% honest, there's not too many people that would reject G2 offer.
Obviously.
They're a household name, they're really big on social media, like really big presence, a lot of sponsorships, and also they're basically winning every single title in every single game, basically world titles and everything else. So I could understand completely their desire actually to join them, especially because, in all honesty, I do feel like we reached our peak during the major. Maybe to some extent we also overperformed. They were kind of, I wouldn't say hoping. I don't think the word is hoping. They were sure that the offer will come based on the performance on the Berlin Major, especially for nexa and hntr. Like, let's be honest, these guys carried us in so many situations, different situations, on so many maps, obviously in qualifiers and everything else. Not to take anything from other guys, but in my opinion, they were the best performers and obviously most consistent when it comes to performing frags and everything else. So basically, conversation with G2 started at some point between 2 of the orgs. There were some, I wouldn't say loopholes. There were some things in the contracts that me as a buyer can actually understand differently compared to you as a seller, for instance. But it's a strict kind of a law, German law, that there's a certain thing that, or a certain kind of way of understanding that. We were at some point actually close to battling it out on the court, just because we were kind of 100% sure that we're in the right there. G2
Let's recap. Sorry. We have, because it's just to make sure. So G2 approached Hunter and Nexa.
Yes.
But as your laws, as your contracts are made in Berlin, they're defined by German law. And
correct.
And therefore, there was a certain clause in the contract which would have not allowed two players to move to G2 without any transaction on their side.
Just to make things clear, they were sold. They never went there for free. Like, that's the most important part of the whole story. Obviously, the contracts that we had were green lighted by
lawyers.
I think two different law firms. Yes, the contracts were, compared to our today's contracts that are 44 pages long, those were like 13 pages long or something, and majority of the stuff there was kind of casually implemented just because during the negotiations with the players and everything else, we felt like, makes sense to add this or something. So some of the things were added by us, some of the things were added by lawyers, but all in all, like, the contracts were solid. So G2 was unable to get them for free. Obviously, they were unable to leave for free, and then we actually made a deal with G2, which in my opinion was really good for us, really good for G2, and especially good for nexa and Hunter.
Right.
I mean, let's be honest, these two guys with Nico probably will end up in top 20 on this year's HLTV. Like three regional guys actually playing in top 20 or being ranked in top 20 players of 2020.
But let me understand, why were you close to suing G2? I didn't get that part.
No. We were ready to actually sue them in case that they tried to do something outside. Like, not really sue them. Like, we were ready to go actually battle it out on the court, if necessary. Because at some point you have players that obviously want to go, you have an org that doesn't want to sell them or give them out for free, and you have an org that obviously, same like us, same like any other org, wants to save as much money as possible. So basically there was this period of like week, maybe even 2 weeks, where all of us wanted something, but we were unable to meet in the middle, which eventually actually happened. And I do think that all three sides were very, very happy with how the whole deal ended.
Can you talk about any numbers that G2 paid? Like any range or anything somewhat specific, or is just that obviously contractually not able to be talked about?
I mean, the buyouts were, I think, G2, this is just my opinion and my evaluation of nexa and Hunter. I think G2 underpaid them. We were satisfied with the whole amount, obviously, but I do feel that they got them for a cheap price, because ultimately, like, these guys made G2 a top 5, now top 4 team in the world.
But yet that didn't answer the question, really.
That's all I can say.
Okay.
I'm sorry, but NDA and everything else.
I remember your CEO had an interview with Professor where he talked about, like, he doesn't take it serious if somebody offers for Hunter like 500,000, or he said something like that, right? I don't. So it was something along the lines. Could be wrong. But
the thing is, like, even if your player is worth 10 millions. Like, obviously, at some point, you do understand that you might need to actually be selling him for a lower price, because basically, if the market is not offering 10 million, you're not going to sell him for 10 million. And that's basically it. When it comes to, like, both Hunter and Nexa, we could have just kept them in our team, but having two dissatisfied players that are not motivated to actually represent your org and everything else, obviously it's not going to help. The only other way to deal with the whole situation was to actually bench them, and benching them means that they're not developing as a players. They're not satisfied with the current situation. It's really, really bad business for us, obviously, because we need to continue to pay them at least some amount of money according to the contract. So we're literally losing money, onboarding 2 new players, and basically gaining nothing from the whole situation. And on top of that, like a year, maybe half a year, I'm not even sure how long were their contracts worth for. Like, we'd actually give them away for free at some point when the contract ends.
Obviously, I mean, it especially doesn't help you as an orc when players are being put on the bench when they're obviously the best,
yeah.
and they can't move. Like it was a Smuya situation, I think, back in Big, where he couldn't move. He simply couldn't. He was trapped, and now he's even losing to Finnish teams in Flashpoint qualifiers. So it's even worse. But so we cannot talk about numbers, which is a shame. I guess you can't even tell me a range, which is also a shame. I mean, if you would say 6-digit, I still can't imagine it. Like, you're talking crazy at the time was super small. I mean, Valiance was small, legitimately speaking, was not a known orc at all. You were investing quite much in content production, which was worth it.
We still do. We still do invest a lot into content production. Yeah.
I see it. But it's still
one thing I can say. The evaluation hunter at some point, it's north from that, obviously, for both of them. We got enough money to actually find really good replacements. Obviously, we were fortunate enough to actually land ships who helped us tremendously in the whole period. Obviously, even won the Rotterdam after him being with us for a week, after Amy as well joined in or started back playing instead of just coaching. So that was actually the money that we invested into a lot of things.
Was he still was Ship still contracted? Sorry, but he wasn't.
No. He was under contract, but he was actually benched in Vindigo.
Right.
So we obviously needed to buy him out. One thing that is, it took like maybe week and a half to actually land him, because we had to negotiate the process, the price, and everything else. And obviously for Vindigo, at that point, they were really, really interested, or they demanded that he would play for them on the upcoming WSG. In April. Obviously, this is not something that is going to happen, because they sold some other players as well. Like they don't have the same roster, so obviously there's no problems with that. But that was really, really important for them, because Windigo, that CS:GO roster, obviously had a direct invite to I do think to like top 8 or something to playoffs for upcoming WSG as the previous winners.
What happened with Windigo itself was a big shame. I mean, they're somewhat of your region. I mean, they're not a Balkan state or anything, but are they a Balkan? No. No.
Geographically, no, but a lot of people think they are like Balkan country. I mean, to some extent, yeah. There's a lot of countries that are like 25% Balkan, 14% Balkan, and similar. But yeah, I mean, Windigo, when it comes to them, like a lot of really, really good players came from Bulgaria. Maybe not necessarily like top 20 players or something, but a lot of them actually made the mark, like won some tournaments like DreamHack, like WSG. Like it's not an event that it's easy to win. Like they won a lot of money for that one.
True. They still haven't received it, if I'm not totally wrong. But I mean, that lineup itself got absolutely wrecked at one point. I mean, Victor and Punisher are lost basically. No, not Punisher. What's his name?
Blocker, you mean?
Blocker, yeah, totally trashed at one. No idea where they ended up. Nobody really knows. I mean, Victor is going to the gym a lot, but outside of that, I don't know.
He looks like a beast.
he legit.
Guy is heavily invested into gym.
Did you talk to him offline at UML?
Yes, obviously.
He's legit the funniest guy. I mean,
I agree there. We spent like some quality time on some of the tournaments we attended together, just because like he is a very open person. He's very he's very funny. He's always around when it comes to like joking and everything else, and that's literally the energy you need around yourself, especially during esports events, where a lot of the guys are just focused, like they're in the zone, they're trying to focus on the upcoming match or whatever, and then just here comes Victor cracking the jokes and everything else, and no one gives a damn about the upcoming match or whatever. So he's a really, really nice guy to have around.
I mean, I remember he was entering the UML, I think one day before, with a Gucci bag and the square glasses and everything. He's like a stereotype.
Let's call him fashionista. I think that would be appropriate title for him.
I wish I still have a picture of him. It was so good. I mean, man, this guy was looking like, I don't know, he coming to
literally came out of Gucci and Prada store.
Absolutely hilarious.
I wish
I was still. I will look for that. Because it was looking hilariously good, but he didn't post it at one point. Unfortunately.
Yeah. Since you're mentioning UML, there was actually where all of us had a lot of fun after the tournament ended, like that exact night or after party.
I remember. Dude, you don't need to talk about it. I recall very much what happened. I wasn't getting drunk or anything. So
okay. A lot of people are actually depending on you and me to actually explain them what happened, because let's be honest, you and I were not that drunk.
no, not at all.
There were some of the people, like some of the players even, were being driven around in a shopping cart. I'm not gonna mention names, but that happened through the arena. Yeah, through the arena and everything else, and they were really, really happy.
Man, they were fucking shit faced. I remember I was talking to Poison at the time. I was asking whoever is the first time getting drunk. Yes, that's the first time, and he was like very convinced about it. He was a very, very kind dude. Besides all of that, we're moving away from the topic. I think the UML finals have been a big blast for us back then. Unfortunately, they didn't go offline anymore, which is extremely sad, but that has other reasons. You went crazy, literally, by signing a team that has hardly won anything, nearly went to WSG, and thought you put Jonta to it, which is the Project X lineup, who now consists of basically 3 no-names from Windigo Academy, cutting back to the point, and 2 Belarusian lads. What in God's name got you up with that idea?
The whole idea was actually like I need to figure out how to word this properly, because I don't want anyone to be offended. The thing is, at some point you need to be surrounded with people that share the same values, that have the same energy as you have, and these are actually the guys that we think, or now at this point we know they share the same exact values, they have the same exact energy, same exact passion and everything else. These guys are working their ass off, literally. They're not there yet, but based on the amount of time they're spending or investing into the game, but not only into the game, but to things that are happening outside of the game, they're gonna get there. Maybe not all 5 of them, maybe, I don't know, 4 of them, maybe all of them, hopefully all of them. They will get there at some point, because some of the things that Jonta is actually implementing inside of the team are, like, to me, are just mind bugging, just because they have a strict rule when it comes to food, like nutrition, when it comes to working out, when it comes to watching demos, when it comes to individual workouts, both on and off server, team workouts and everything else. And this is actually the first time we implemented a psychologist, or mentalist as we call him, Luca. He started working with them from the first day, actually. So in my opinion, yes, result-wise, you guys don't see that much, obviously, because we lack. First of all, we're not really getting invites. Like, let's be completely honest.
Understandably.
We don't get to play on HLTV that often, but they're on the right path, and our kind of timeline is actually to have them fully prepared for the upcoming qualifier for the next major, not for this one. This one was obviously like, it was a hit and miss. Let's try it out. If it doesn't go well, no problems. But also we need to take into account that we actually skipped the close qualifier for Flashpoint, which we qualified from open qualifier, just because it overlapped with open qualifier for the upcoming major.
Yeah, that was a bit of a mess that happened there. I just wanted to say that you in advance, it's not looking really good for you. I mean, did attacks play against you already?
I'm gonna be completely honest. I'm not sure. I'm trying to be involved as much as I can. Obviously, CS:GO regional title. Yeah. But with what's been happening in the past with Dota 2, and obviously another title that we're probably ready to reveal tomorrow or in the upcoming days. Like, a lot of things are happening for us, and me as an esports or head of esports, I have a lot of work. Like, I see. Making sure that everything blends together, that everyone is on point, and deliveries are on time, obviously.
That's one of the things. I mean, we quickly need to talk about it, because you've been. How old are you again? I think you didn't say it in the beginning. That was one of the questions.
Correct. I'm close to 32 actually. This May is gonna be 32.
Yeah. So you're somewhat of a more an adult guy. I think that's something we can really talk about there, is especially someone like Esperanto. Because one thing I was always asking myself, and I got many opinions, and I will pretty much ask everyone I will interview about that, is, do you personally think that social skills and that like everything that goes, because a team game needs social skills, whatever you need outside of comms, you need to get along some way. Do you think when those young guys are playing 8 to 10 hours a day, I mean seeing success, that this is something that will really be left behind for some reason, and there should be that could become a problem in future teams or future situations?
The thing is, I think that social media presence and everything, like social media in general, created this big problem for young and up and coming players. Me being 32, I have, I think, 12 years, maybe even 13 years of work experience in the sales, marketing, some other fields as well, but also in esports for the past 3 years, like full time. The thing is, my job takes between 8 and 12 hours per day. I still have enough time to socialize. That's the thing. Like, once the player is done with the practice, with the tournament, whatever, with the matches and everything else, most of them just stay in their home, watch, I don't know, Netflix, maybe watch some stream, maybe, I don't know, go on a deathmatch, whatever, instead of going outside, working on their social skills, social life. And that's obviously the problem, long term especially, but short term as well, because if you don't have that group of people in your life that is keeping you calm, that is keeping you on the right path, you're obviously going to have a lot of problems inside of the team, because you're not going to be able to verbalize what you're thinking. You're not going to be able to not going to say assert the dominance or something, but kind of tell or vocalize things that you need in order better. And that's obviously an issue for some of the young players. It's obviously like really easy to say, yeah, you played like shit. Like, don't say to someone he played like shit. Tell him, yeah, in this particular situation you did this. I personally think that this would be a better option for you. Maybe we'd won this clutch if you throw a nade instead of a smoke or something. Like, that's a constructive criticism, which in my opinion, 90% of young and up-and-coming players or gamers in general lack, actually. The constructive criticism, some of it falls to them not being social enough, but some of it, I'm gonna say even more, like the higher percentage, is because the community, like the backslash of the community.
Right.
I mess up 1v1, like 1v1 situation, clutch on whichever map in CSGO. There's 1 million things you can do differently, or yeah, you should have done this instead of this. Like, yeah, you saw the clutch, you literally see what the guy did. Obviously you're smart enough to tell me now that I needed to do this. Like, let's be honest. But the thing is, like, one misclick, one
tiny mistake, it doesn't even matter.
Mess up in a clutch,
you're always getting fucked that way.
It equals to like 500 comments on HLTV, Twitter, whatever. Like, a lot of our guys in the past, especially, death threats, like swear words, like insulting their mothers, fathers, the whole family, just because some of the guys lost like 50 cents on a bet.
I know, it's absolutely crazy. I mean, what happens there is absolutely crazy in so many ways, because especially that's the thing about for me is with Hunden as well. How he, for example, got fucked in 2014. I don't know if you know the story. He said in an interview he was an SK back in the day, and they were an okay Danish team. He always got the god Hunden meme because, let's be honest, he's not a good frogger, but the man got the brain. And I mean, I'm playing with someone who always says HLTV stats are trash, and to some extent he's right, because I mean, take best example.
Most definitely, yeah.
Take a look at Letney. Letney pretty much always had shit stats, right? But yet again, the man was absolutely capable of leading a team and bringing them in the right direction. Was that? Can you note that down anywhere? No, not one bit.
That's the thing. Like, in order to actually know about it, you need to sit down with the team to get their input, which you rarely actually get, because I mean, I know that I'm usually telling to our players at least, like, don't go to social media explaining yourself.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
that's not your job. Your job is to play. Your job is to perform. Your job is to focus on yourself. If you're gonna explain every single match or every single mistake or something you did good to social media, they're gonna eat you up. Like, you cannot actually go out to social media and make everyone happy. There's obviously gonna always be like 10%, 20%, maybe even 90% of people that are not satisfied with how you approach some of the situations, both inside and outside of the games.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's a bit of a problem to me. That's why I think it's very good that you go for a mental coach in what you do, because your guys are fairly young. I think they're between 23 and 19, which
Correct.
is still young. We talk about that social aspect. If you grind in your younger ages, the social aspect is someone's missing out. I will always say that balance is a thing. And that's where people say this work smarter thing always works. I think playing CS for 12 hours a day is horribly wrong in so many ways, especially young people. Especially young people, because first of all, getting onto the top of CS, maybe you do it. If you don't have an education. I mean, this is going so on and so on. I will not go into detail. But what I'm trying to say, your mental coach. Is he also teaching them what the right mindset is in case of losses, or?
Yeah, definitely. Like the I'm gonna kind of try to explain his workday with the team. During the bootcamp, for instance, if we're playing like 8, maybe even 10 practices per day, he's there writing things down, like writing notes for each and every single practice. He spends 24/7 with them. Basically, we have team sessions, we have individual sessions. Some of the most important things that he is actually trying to implement are be as social as you can. Like, be vocal when you feel that you need to be vocal, but also like be vocal at the right time. Obviously, the most important part, because you can't really scream, yeah, shit, I'm not sure what happened, like, or whatever, when your mate is trying to clutch a 1v1 situation or 1v2, whatever. And obviously, last but not least, he's trying to make them think about the long term, not the short term. Obviously, you can lose a match. Everyone can lose a match. But at some point, you're going to stop losing matches. You're going to start losing tournaments. That being said, like, that means kind of in my head, like, you're not really losing. When you're losing a tournament, you're obviously up there, like you're top 4, top 2, or something. Obviously, it's gonna take a toll on you, like emotionally, if you lose the finals. But also, if you don't bounce back, you're not gonna be in the finals of the next tournament. Like, let's take mouse sports for that example. Like, a lot of young guys, a lot of emotional people, but they still managed to actually reach 6 finals, consecutive finals, on tournaments they attended, won 5 of them. Like, that's insane. Something I don't think that is something that ever happened in CS:GO. And they're really young. Like, Frozen, I think is 17 or 18
by now.
Yeah, like, you can't tell me that he, as like at 17, should be more mature than someone who is 23 or 24 years old. And we have a lot of 24, 25-year-old players that never actually made it because of their quote mark social skills, or them being too emotional, not being able to bounce back or whatever. Like, this guy is really, really young. This is actually his first mouse sports, is his first opportunity to actually play on such a high level, and he's doing an amazing job. Obviously, Kerrigan is helping them a lot, but still, like, it's really, really hard for young, up-and-coming players to actually remain focused constantly.
This is where I still. So you say is your mental coach? Does he play CS, or is he any esports related?
No, not at all. He's actually a sports psychologist. There's football players, like boxers, like basketball players, obviously, that he's working with. This is like us. Working with him, this is actually him being involved in esports for the first time for the past 9, maybe 10 months. And he's enjoying it, obviously, because there's a lot of similarities between esport and sport, obviously, when it comes to like mental preparation and everything else. But there's also a lot of differences, because like, you can't really go to the gym and train for like 9 hours. You can't train like football for 9 hours or something. And these guys obviously need to do that, because that's the only way you will eventually get better.
The thing that I'm still open to me. So you hired let's just get this factually right. You hired a mental coach. And what does he do when all those guys are back in Ukraine or Belarus?
He has online sessions.
Okay, and then
he's available. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
He's basically available at each and every time. So if I am feeling down, if I'm feeling depressed, if something bad happened in my life, not related to like, completely non-related to the game, like I can still call him, talk to him, and he's still obviously gonna try to help me as much as he can. Right. So basically, he's available to them 24/7.
Do they do that? Do they, like if something in their personal life is going on, they're feeling down and depressed, do they actually?
Some of them, yeah. Some of them, yes. Some, I mean, obviously, it depends on. For me personally, I'm that type of person that usually, like, when something bad happens, I need to get together with myself. Like, right. I need to be left alone for a day, maybe even two, to process everything. And while someone else, for instance, I don't know, maybe you, actually need to be surrounded with someone, or you need that one specific person who always give the best advices and everything else how to.
Okay, so you have those online sessions. I guess they talk also in their performance, what's in how they're connected to each other and what's their issues with each other, I guess.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, definitely. That's an open discussion for us. Like, I mean, let's be honest, we're not doing anything completely new. Astralis has been doing that for like 2 years, maybe even 3 years. Like, we're just trying to replicate the system someone else already has, and they profited off of it. Like, that's basically it. So when it comes to like even dealing with specific situations between the teammates, like Jonta is always there, Luca is our mental psychologist, for esports psychologist, he's always there available. Else, but what is actually like really good regarding the CSGO guys primarily, they're really good when it comes to sorting things out amongst themselves. Like, they're really emotionally, they're really mature on a high level, so they're solving basically a lot of these things as they come, which obviously helps to every single one of us involved from the side.
So you talk to them, obviously. I mean, especially that's a good thing you talk about, especially I think when we talk about esports, I'm really going to keep that very simple. I think every team, basically every second division team, like even a national competition, would extremely benefit if they won by one hard copy Astralis in everything.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, the thing is, like, we need to understand that psychologists cost a lot. Like, a lot of tier 2 teams cannot afford a manager. Like, there's a coach that is doing booking flights, finding a bootcamp places, whatever. Like, a lot of tier 2 teams cannot afford sports psychologist, manager, analyst, or whoever. Like, most of these teams are actually like, there's 5 of us as players and there's one coach. And obviously in that system you can reach a certain height when it comes to results, but from that point on you need to obviously invest more money, more resources to actually onboard proper people who will help you develop further.
Okay, so let's finalize this. Your sports psychologist also helps with exercising plans, like physically exercising?
To some extent. Maybe like he's kind of like he's 50% of the reason. Jonta is another 50%. The guys are usually, while we were boot camping in Belgrade in Relog, by the way, amazing facility. We went there for the boot camp. Boot camp lasted for like 3 weeks. They were usually spending their in between the practices, or 2 blocks of practices, they would eat obviously their dinner or lunch or whatever, and then they would spend like half an hour just walking around, or we had some sort of a kind of a football that they would just, I don't know, run around in the prac room or whatever, just have fun, just so they're not focused or fixed on the screen. Like, even watching YouTube, even watching that, even like reading newspapers, reading news outlets, forums, whatever, like it still takes a toll on your mental. It's screen time. You can't really like wind out, like just relax properly. Physically, but mentally you need to get as far as you can from the screen in order to be able to focus for additional 3, maybe even 4 hours for the next block of practices, obviously.
Right. So let's just get this straight. I'm just trying to recap. He's helping with personal issues. He's helping with inter-team issues when something goes wrong. So talking about losses, talking about wins, talking about pressure. Somewhat to some extent physical. How's it looking with diet and eating?
It's looking awesome. Basically, like, I'm actually so happy we have Jonta in our team. he's that type of person that sets the standards for everyone else.
Yeah.
So basically, each and every single day of the boot camp, they had a specific meal that he chose for all of them. So there was not like, yeah, I'm gonna take McDonald's, I'm gonna go KFC, I'm gonna go Subway or something. Like high nutrition value food, a lot of chicken, a lot of rice, a lot of vegetables, a lot of steamed vegetables, and everything else. They had pizzas or burgers like 2, maybe 3 times in 3 weeks. And the best part about it is all of us, because I was there as well, all of us had the exact same meal plans.
Right.
Like, you can't really say, yeah, I'm here eating vegetables. This guy's eating pancakes. This guy's eating burger or whatever. Like, we're all on the same boat. We all do the same amount of physical activity. We all do the same amount of work. Same meals. We're literally, all of us would wake up at the same specific time to eat breakfast together, like all of us. Even me, Luca the mentalist, team obviously, Jonta, and everyone else.
So now the final question is, you're helping with diet, you're helping with physical performance to some degree, you help with psychological as individuals or team. Why do you spend the extra money on it? On no-namers?
Just because, in my opinion, it's gonna be worth at some point. Like, you need to spend money in order to get money, so to say. We spent a lot of money on boot camps and everything else for the previous team, obviously. Like, we all need to remember that at some point we signed Binary Dragons. Up and coming, promising team.
What was it, 2016 or something?
I think it was end of 2016.
Yeah.
Like, there was some potential, but no one actually knew capable of. Yeah, obviously there.
Let me just recap real quick who that was. That was back then Emmy, Joxic, Letny, Hunter, and Nino. So
yes, correct.
Basically
a Balkan region or regional team.
Yeah, obviously. I mean, so three of them ended fairly successful.
Oh yeah. So I mean, to be honest, even we need to understand that even and Emmy are really successful with the contact gaming and everything else. Like, their obviously potential was there to reach it. Obviously they're enjoying the opportunity at the moment. It's up to them to actually take it. It's really sad to hear that Letny had some visa issues, obviously not being able to attend the upcoming Flashpoint League, but he's still gonna be attending the upcoming major. But yeah, I mean, obviously at some point there was potential with them. We took a gamble, and obviously it paid off. So we're trying to replicate the same thing, but this time we're doing everything, or we're trying to do everything right from the start. Obviously, in the past there were some.
So it's a long-term investment.
Missing, a long-term investment.
Okay.
Yeah.
So just wanted to make sure, because basically, some people might say, hey, why don't you buy a proper team and just let them play, right? But
the thing is, the easiest thing to do is actually to spend money on the property. Like, that's the easiest, obvious choice. But in my opinion, for someone like us, we're up and coming.
I know.
Organization.
I know what you're going to say.
Yeah, we need to think of, like, I don't want to spend like 500k, 700k, maybe even $1 million on a team that I'm not 100% sure how are they good regarding the chemistry. How are they good? Like, obviously I can see the in-game, like the in-game roles. I can see the stats and everything else. But that's like 50% of the story. Another 50% is actually, are they actually spending their time together during the bootcamp outside of the server? Because if they're eating together, sleeping together, if they're enjoying some time off also together, not going their separate places and everything else, obviously that's a really good investment. But those are the type of things that you can't really see before you actually start working with them.
Right, before we head on, good old Sinisha rated the stream with 71 viewers from Merku Masters. I'm talking to good Alen from Crazy, you might have heard of. The lads who used to be playing the Major and sold their squad and now got a brand new one. Unfortunately, we're missing the super interesting part, but we're going to talk numbers because, first of all, I admire the idea of having a mentalist on your team or a mental coach because, I mean, you could invest the bucks for everything else, right? But I know, the thing is, I can right now imagine imagine your CEO, because I know him, saying the exact same speech and saying his absolute dream about it, which I understand, because he's, you know, your CEO is a little crazy and over the edge sometimes, at least what we see, but he seems he gets the right ideas, right? He gets the right ideas from time to time. The thing we have to talk about, how in God's name did that happen with Contact? Because nobody had Contact on their radar, nobody knew about Contact, still nothing has been announced. There's like nothing social media wise about Contact, and suddenly people say 2.5 million.
Yeah, first thing I need to say, I'm extremely proud of the players actually keeping their mouths shut. Around, like this is extremely rare in esport. Like no one knew about.
Don't need to tell me.
No one knew about this. Like maybe 2 weeks before it was announced, maybe like 1 week something got leaked, or like at that point it was not important at all. But this was a process that was like it lasted for like a good 2.5, maybe even 3 months.
Yeah.
Like of talks, of actually getting to know both sides, to see if this org would be a good fit for the players, if players see them as a good fit for them, obviously if this is actually the right opportunity for them. Some of the players actually had like a really interesting offers from other organizations, obviously, but ultimately they decided to stick together because the opportunity was really good. And I mean, it's always nice to actually be or to go straight to the major,
right?
Upcoming,
obviously. But you still need to let me understand this. We have to get straight here. So first of all, people talked about a sum of $2.5 million. Can you talk anything money wise? What has been transferred to Crazy with the slot?
Okay, I can't really tell you exact number. Obviously, it was lower than 2.5.
Because you were cut out. It was all over 2.5, or
no. It was lower. It was lower. So the lower amount, not 2.5. We're obviously extremely happy with the deal. Players are extremely happy with the deal because they got the salaries that we were kind of hoping to provide for them, but it actually never. Never kind of realized or never came to reality. The thing with the deal is that their contracts are really well written. They're enjoying the higher salary, obviously, the opportunity to actually play in a Flashpoint League, which is extremely, when it comes to, like, I think that it's extremely valuable experience for them. Obviously, being a franchise league is going to help further develop some of the teams, some of the players, obviously, as well. And I mean, when it comes to us with Contact and everything else, I'm not sure why are they keeping kind of on the low the Contact, the org, and everything else.
They don't say anything.
Yes, I'm not sure at some point, but also on the other hand, I kind of appreciate it because I'm kind of a fan of this. Like, we know something is happening, but no one's writing about it. No one knows what it is. Like, they might go out with a boom at some point with the announcement and everything else. So I'm hoping for that as well. But there's this I don't know, attractiveness about the mystery of the whole thing.
I disagree, but I mean, that's down
I'm talking about me personally. To me, it's kind of attractive to go down on social media. We were inactive on social media for like 3 months before we actually got a CS:GO team, before we now got Dota 2 team, and there's one other game coming, probably tomorrow. With the announcement.
You said it might come tomorrow.
Days,
very much. Very much looking forward to that one. I mean, I legit have no clue what's going to happen with Contact, and at least we know it's lower than 2.5, but we'll never know the number. There was something else I was really worth mentioning because somebody asked. Yeah, that's a good thing. Where you guys? I was remembering it was back in October 2019. You still didn't have a sponsor. Till today, you still don't have a sponsor.
Correct.
Why? What? Where, first of all, who's investing in you? Because I mean, it costs money to some degree. And why is there nobody sponsoring you?
Okay,
why?
I can if I can dive into basically. Having investors or being backed up by the investors. I'm investing into your business just because I'm hoping that I can actually get my money back with like hopefully with some interest, maybe even earn some money. That's the whole story with us and the investors. They saw a potential. We did amazing things with our previous CS:GO roster. We sold them, actually paid back 100% of the investment, and now we're basically redoing the whole thing. When it comes to sponsorships, this is actually a time that just now, we feel fortunate enough to have our Dota 2 team with a lot of social media presence, obviously, and it's going to be easier for us to actually sign a sponsorship because up until now we were offered some of the companies offered sponsorships. The thing was that our social media numbers were not that high. Obviously, we had some results, but obviously no one is investing into like placements in CS:GO, Dota 2 or something. Like everybody is heavily invested into socials, and now is actually a perfect opportunity for us to actually get a sponsor, because in the past we were kind of being offered like a really low amount of money for like a year, like contract worth a year, maybe year and a half, maybe, I don't know, 9 months or something. And we never actually felt good about going into a business deal with someone for like 9 months, maybe even 12 months, maybe even for a low amount of money, when we could get a better opportunity like 6 months down the line or something.
Obviously.
So it was a risk. I do think, or I know it's gonna end up as a good decision, because we do have some announcements for the future as well, kind of a teaser now. But yeah, I think everything will end up well.
Wait a second, you said you have so far only 2 titles announced, right?
Yes, correct. We're waiting on the third one.
Third one is Rainbow Six Siege.
Maybe.
No, it is. Not. I mean, you made a trailer with the Rainbow Six Siege logo.
I mean, yeah, kind of. Maybe.
Alen, come on.
No. Maybe something to really cover up our tracks. You never know.
Come on. I mean, it's not that unobvious, but I mean, we could talk about it. So you're right
it's not out. I cannot tell you anything about it. It's not out. It's completely up to our social media manager. And
5th of March. It was 5 days ago. That was posted.
Okay, but we still never went out with the next part, or part 2.
Yeah. Okay. I see.
Someone is writing Minecraft. Yeah. Correct.
That's very interesting to see. But let's just recap. You are just right now looking for sponsors and might see what's going to happen in the future. So that's
it's going to happen really, really soon.
Okay. Like, so but you're also coming up with a sponsor very, very soon, or?
Yeah, correct.
Okay.
Sponsorships as well, obviously, 13. And the investors interested in backing us up, but the thing with the investors and everyone else, we need to understand that this is kind of a very, very hard these are very hard times to actually invest into esports or into business in general, because the coronavirus, the market is plummeting down literally.
Absolutely.
And I mean, even esports competitions are getting cancelled, or
one after another.
Katowice, let's be honest, Katowice in front of, like, without a crowd. Like, it's not Katowice, it's an empty, like, gymnasium or whatever, like, empty hall. You're just playing there. Like, it's not interesting. And a lot of people actually lost a lot of money by getting there. Train tickets, plane tickets, and everything else, tickets to actually attend the tournament and everything. So we're hoping for the best there. Obviously, a lot of the investments are happening for a lot of teams, but we're only focused on ourselves at the moment.
I mean, I'll say it like that. So ESL Pro League most likely will have no offline finals. Flashpoint have already denied it. Copenhagen Games is, as far as I know, shut down because the Danish government does not allow any conventions over 1,000 people.
There was Apex Legends major that should have happened by like end of this month in Texas. It's not gonna happen.
Yeah, same with probably Rio. I don't know how Brazil is gonna handle it, but yeah, it's gonna be weird.
It's tough times for esports, not only for other competitions as well. Like, I think in Italy, there's not gonna be any school for like a month or something. There's no like football being played. Like, it's really hard. But
just let's go further, because everything's basically fucked. I mean, I know for sure. Games Clash Arena in Poland, which is in June, 3 months from now, is also not gonna happen.
Correct.
If there's nothing gonna be done anytime soon, there is maybe not even Cologne and that would be a fucking mess. I mean, yeah, they would lose so much
The worst
money.
part about it is that most of the sponsorship deals are based off of exposure. So obviously you can provide exposure by streaming more, by like whatever, but nothing gives as much exposure as playing on the stage.
Yeah, no,
If you're not playing on, if you're not playing on the stage, like obviously a lot will not exist. Like that's the whole situation we're in it now. Like this is the whole ecosystem of esports. Like exposure is something that is happening on the stage. Obviously, if I want to support someone on stream or whatever, I'm gonna sign what is it called?
Petition?
Influencer. I'm sorry. Influencer.
Yeah.
Instead of a pro gamer or a pro team with 5 players, like a coach, manager, like psychologist, whoever. Like I'm just gonna get an influencer who's streaming like 12 hours a day every single day from his own, and I'm still getting something out of it. But yeah, obviously it's gonna be really tough.
One thing you also have to pay in mind that companies are paying big time money to have booths on those events, right? Like to showcase what they have and things like that. It's gonna be absolutely disgusting because I'm scared that till May we will have no real major with individuals happening. I could imagine. I don't know what the regulations right now are in Brazil. We got those still 10 more minutes. You have used 0 timeouts so far. If you just freshly joined
I'm just feeling comfortable talking to you.
Feeling comfortable. Like... Okay. So Alen has obviously, if you just joined us to Picnic on Plateau, he has obviously two times a 1 minute timeout where he can just mute himself and still answer the question to me, but he will not be heard. So 10 minutes we have. Let's talk about the hot shit that could happen in the future. So you are from the somewhat Balkan region. Who's going to be a player we're seeing in 2 years from now stepping up and being in a big time team we don't know about yet?
You're asking me about the players that could come up.
A player from your sort of region that could come up and be the one to take it.
I'm gonna be completely honest, and I'm gonna get fucked on social media for saying this, but I don't see anyone who's up and coming, who's young at this point, that can just kind of go to the tier 3, tier 2, and then evidently tier 1 level of the competition. Because a lot of the guys from this region, like the same basically. Do you know any Italian players in esports that are professional?
You mean if I know talented player in esports that are...
No, Italian players from Italy.
No, I don't.
The thing is, people around here in our region specifically are too emotional to actually be heavily invested into esports. Not only into esports, a lot of competitions actually. Like the players or coaches or analysts, whoever, like even the casters that actually made it in this field or esports are the ones that actually successfully started controlling their emotions. And that's the thing. We're feisty. Like we want to solve everything by just talking in a be very vocal about everything, but also talking as loud as we can. Like no one can actually out loud us, and that's the thing. Like most of the 99% of the teams we had never did anything. Some of them did something regional, like the regional mix of players from, I don't know, Serbia, Croatia, Slovenia, maybe, I don't know, Montenegro, whichever country from this region, is like they never get to some like really high level just because of it. And most of the players that are still playing, that are trying to make it, are just not really good when it comes to constructive criticism, implementing input from the colleagues that are more experienced, more accomplished, and that's why they are stuck in these type of teams. For instance, like my personal point of view, Madden, like he's very, like mechanically, he's a very good player. Like he was not fortunate enough, he was good enough to get picked by someone who would give him an opportunity to play on international level. He obviously took it, but also like I think that for his sake, it was really good for him to work with Devilwalk, who is very experienced coach, who knows with Devilwalk, his current coach. They're doing amazing things.
Madden is one of a kind.
Yeah, and he's actually from obviously from the region. I don't see anyone else who would be able to go to tier 2 level at this point. Maybe someone up and coming, but also you need to take into consideration that I've been focusing on lately. I've been focusing on a lot of games, not only CS:GO. So maybe I'm wrong, obviously, but in my opinion, we don't have that much talent when it comes to.
True.
Not only talking about aiming and hitting headshots. Like obviously, a lot of people can do that, but
that's something I talked I talked about that with Nexa when he was back in Imperial, where he said he couldn't do anything, and because everybody was so vocal and everybody was so overly passionate, not in a good way, and teams didn't stay together because they were fighting, and then he went to Renegades. Obviously, I mean he did himself. A big favor by stepping up internationally with the FPL team he had, basically. But yeah, that was a very, very interesting turn of things. So you don't have anyone on your list. Me neither.
Sadly, no. I mean, let's be honest. Sadly, no.
I mean, I think I used to have a list of players heading out, but I don't see it. I mean, in Germany we have a different problem because people are having big egos of winning Meisterschaft, which is ridiculous. So national championship.
Yeah, I understand.
That's a little bit ridiculous at one point, but I mean, yeah. What to say about that? I don't know. It's a bit weird.
But that's. I mean, I'd say that there is a completely. I'd say the same situation. Like a lot of these players from would never accept, for instance, if I go to them, you can play for my academy team.
Yeah.
For 500 euros per month.
Yeah.
They will say no. I should earn like 1k per month or something.
Oh, stop!
And they'd
I know.
They'd rather not have any salary than have 500 euros salary.
Yeah, it's weird.
You need to start somewhere. Like, let's be honest. My first job.
I know you don't. I know what you're saying. I know what you're saying, because it's the same with casting. It's the same in every fucking esport, or it's so young.
I should earn 1k or something. Yeah, obviously
right now.
You will if you're good enough, but not right now. There's this guy that is way better than you, and he just because he started the whole process like 1 year ago, you need to start the same process, obviously, at this point.
True, and that's the extremely sad part about it, because I legitimately don't get that mentality of being owed something in that industry, but it still happens. It's still a weird thing. What's the weirdest thing to me, and that's where we're gonna finish, to me, is the IGL thing, because I think you especially noticed, because I mean, I guess you had the best connection with Nexa, Hunter, and Letny back in Valiance or Crazy, and I guess he very often felt bad for being, technically speaking, not obviously speaking, that bad as an individual. I'm sorry. Can you make a question out of it? Yeah, so yeah. Do you personally say that from your experience with someone like Letny, it's a bigger pressure that comes to IGLs as they don't perform in that sense compared to the individuals they guide?
The worst part about it is 99% of the IGLs are compared to 1, 2, maybe 3 best IGLs in the world. Like, obviously, let's be completely 100% true. Like, there's 1, maybe 2 IGLs that can perform on a level that Nexa is performing. Yeah. Like, he set like a really, really high standard. Like, you have Hunden, for instance. Guy can create teams, proper teams, tier 1 teams from mixes.
Yeah.
He's not going to perform. He's not going to provide you with, 35 kills every match, but he's making everyone else better. Like, in my book, he's almost as good as Nexa. Nexa obviously has the same quality, but he's performing on a higher level, obviously.
True.
But they're making everyone else really, really good around them. The bad situation with, I wouldn't say the bad situation, the issue with Letny being an IGL at that point is that he was actually sacrificing a lot for the team. Being an IGL and playing shit positions on each and every single map, you're not going to underperform. You're going to underperform even further. And at some point, it's going to start bothering you, not because you're not winning or because you're winning or something, like it's gonna start bother you because everyone else is telling you you're trash, you're not worth anything, this guy's better than you, why are you not doing this? Like it's constant pressure from each and every side, and it's really tough. Like for instance, let's be also completely honest, like Kerrigan is statistically or frag wise not the best IGL in the world, but his team is actually one of the best in the world at the moment. How he's making everyone else better? He's putting them in the position.
Right. That's the thing many people don't realize, that you sometimes need to sacrifice.
No one cherishes IGLs enough.
And that's where I want to finish, because I was talking with Sini, who is like low tier, the Division 3 IGLing and things. But he said himself, he always had the benefit to have he was always happy when he had players who actually played team sports before, because they understand that go in roles, and you don't become a star overnight, and you will never be a star. You are actually the one who sometimes needs to sacrifice, and that's what people don't understand. Legitimately,
if I can take it even further, from my experience, it's easier to work with someone who actually has also. Like I know that most of the people will not connect that to being a team player in CS:GO or whatever, but it actually helps you because you are constantly put in a situation with your sibling throughout the years. Sometimes it's a really good situation, you're happy, you're else, and someone like you're literally getting on each other's nerves. Like that actually kind of makes you prepared for a team. Like all of a sudden you have 5, maybe even 6 different personalities around you. You need to be able to actually like calm down, to speak properly with everyone, and actually to do something about it when it goes like to shit, so to say.
Good. This is the 1 hour. We have the exactly 1 hour countdown has just ended pretty much.
We're good.
So
what can I say?
This is the point in time where you can take the last words to take to close the door for yourself if you feel like it.
Okay, I'm gonna close the door with something unconventional. Kind of. I'm not gonna go out to fans and everything else. Appreciate them, I do. But since the whole deal happened with G2. I never actually went publicly, even with contact. I never actually went publicly and thanked Nexa and hntr for everything they did for the organization, for everything they did for the team. Role-wise, like there was some payment, they were delayed and everything else. Like these guys actually like. There's no bad blood between us as an org, me personally, and them. Obviously, I feel very honored to actually know them on a personal level, and obviously, I'm very happy to see them perform in their new org. Obviously, 4th in the world, really amazing job. But I do think that they can actually get to that top 1 spot, and obviously, I do believe that they will end up in top 20 players of 2020 alongside Nico. So 3 regional players in top 20. It's gonna be awesome.
Right, and that has been the end of the first episode of BY PLATEAU. I thank you very much for coming on. This has been a very interesting experiment of trying something out. We will head off. This will probably be uploaded to Spotify and YouTube at another point in time. Until then, I wish you all a good day and have a good one.
All right, take care. Bye-bye.